Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, The Boda Life. My name is JL Boda, and on this channel I share a lot of encouragement and tips for simple living and our simple lifestyle to hopefully encourage and inspire you all. Today I am going to be sharing with you birth story number 3, and I am currently almost 38 weeks pregnant with our 4th baby, and we don't know the gender yet, so we're super excited to find out. But I thought, why not share my other birth stories leading up until this birth, and I'm really excited to share the birth details for this baby. But if you are interested and want to hear more, just keep on watching. You guys so much for tuning in to my other birth stories. I do promise that this one will be shorter. One, because it was my fastest labor and delivery thus far, and because since it was my fastest delivery thus far, there aren't as many details. There really were no kind of hiccups or complications. It went really smooth. So my due date was May 9th. We had the same birthing team, which was wonderful. The same midwife that had birthed my first 2 was also birthing our 3rd. And so everything, I'd prepared everything that I needed to with going late, which is really nice. I am very much a planner, very much type A. I've gotten a little bit more type B since having kids, but it's just been really nice to feel like I have all the major things that I want done before the baby comes, so I can just focus on enjoying life and being with my other kiddos before we welcome a new kiddo into the world. Because I don't know about you, but for those of you who have other kids, it's always been such a bittersweet time for me, because I'm super excited to welcome another baby, but then there's also, which is the joy, but then there's also this feeling of it's going to be a new normal, and life is not going to be as it has been, which is okay. But I think it's okay also to be happy and sad at the same time. And because I also know that I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time to a newborn, and I always feel as if I'm missing out on a portion of my other kids' lives as I'm trying to keep another human alive. So just some candid thoughts there. So everything was lined up perfectly, and I remember the morning that I went into labor on May 16th, it happened between 3:30 and 4 a.m. I don't remember exactly. I know my labor was under 6 hours for sure, which, you know, my first one was really long. It was about 38 hours, and my second one was 14. So after 38 hours, anything under 24 hours is wonderful. But I was not anticipating this labor and delivery to be so quick. We did have Airbnb guests that were actually staying with us for, I think, a week or 2. Lovely family up there. And so I was glad that it started early in the morning. My husband was still sleeping, decided not to wake him again. But he starts to kind of wake up on his own because he's anticipating it coming anytime. So if I'm at the bathroom and he notices I'm gone and I don't come back very soon, he starts searching for me or asking questions when I do come back into bed, like, has it started? And so I wanted to let him sleep because, again, I didn't know how long the labor was going to go, and I wanted to make sure that he got as much rest as possible because he was going to be helping me later on, and I didn't want both of us to be exhausted. I was laboring for a little bit. It wasn't that intense. It started to get more intense about 2 hours later at around 5:30. I texted a few people. First, my parents, we have a group chat, texted them, please pray, around like 5:30 in the morning. And then I also texted first thing my mother-in-law, because she has watched our kids every time. They're very comfortable with her. They know her. That gives me a lot of peace when I'm laboring, and I know that they're going to be safe and in good hands. And she's usually up really early because she's a teacher, which is wonderful. And she always has emergency lesson plans ready. And it was also a blessing that the baby came later, because she is also really busy, and I think the school is really busy around when graduation starts. And so she was nearing the end of her school season, so it was really easy to get a sub. It wasn't right in the beginning, say August, when they had started their school season, kind of like it is now, but into September is a little bit better. So my mother-in-law always has emergency lesson plans planned out so that if we call her at any time of the day, she can have a sub and she can come and help with the girls, which I so appreciate. And that's what she is planning for this next little one as well. So I texted her and I said, don't come yet, wait, because the girls are still sleeping and we'd like them to sleep as long as possible, and then you come and get them. So typically we wake our girls up at around 8:30. And so we said, we just want to give you a heads up, but we'll let you know when to come over and pick them up. And the great thing about where I labor, I usually labor in the living room. We have basically our kitchen, living room, and dining room all in one room. But there is a little doorway where I hang a tension rod with a curtain all the way down, so it gives me some privacy. So if we do have people that are coming in and out, usually it's just my mother-in-law, but if we have people that need to come in and out, I can feel like I can labor and no one's going to be looking at me, even though they can probably still hear the sounds of labor. And it just gives me that privacy. So we had put that up. And so she was alerted. I let my parents know. And then about an hour later at 6:30, I texted our ladies group at church just to pray that everything goes well. And so I'm laboring. And again, I get to this point of where things are starting to pick up. Now I think my husband's awake. He had started to blow up our, we have like an inflatable, tub for water birth. I love to labor in the water. It just helps with the discomfort and kind of pain management during labor. And it's 6:30, and I think around between 6:30 and 7, I think closer to 6:30, or at least 2 hours before the baby was delivered, I decided that I wanted to call my midwife to come, and I'd already given her a heads up. I usually text because I don't want to wake them up. But again, I was wondering, when should I call her? And just knowing from the past experience, I waited until I didn't feel comfortable laboring anymore on my own to call her. And that's just personally for me, I felt more like safe and secure knowing that she was there if the baby were to come. But I was just surprised. I was surprised that only a couple hours into it, because I didn't know how long this labor was going to take, that I had to call her already. And again, I'm so glad that I did, because whenever they arrived, I think it was between 6:30 and 7, literally 2 hours from that time when they arrived, Zipporah came. So again, it was perfect timing, just like Selah. I'm glad that I trusted my body. So trust your body, mamas. You know what you're feeling. You know what you're going through. If everything feels good, great. If something doesn't feel good or something's off, listen to that. And so the midwives came. I'm already in the tub, or the blow up inflatable tub, laboring. And for me, when I labor, I like to labor independently. So I like my husband obviously to be there, but I don't like to be touched during labor, not even like a reassuring pat on the hand. I remember when it was getting closer to pushing, he was so sweet. He put his hand on mine and was like, "You're doing a great job, hon." And I was like, please move your hand. And we all have this understanding that when you're in labor, don't take anything personally. You know, nothing is personal if something's said or done, because it's during some really intense moments. And so he knew I wasn't trying to be rude, but any sort of touch, except for with my first, when I had back labor and they were squeezing my hips, that was relieving. But I had a lot of just regular front around the stomach labor, no back labor. I did not want to be touched because it made me feel very nauseous. And so I don't like to be touched. I don't need people coaching me through labor. I don't want someone in my face like, "Oh, you're doing a good job," or patting my knee, or I just want them to leave me alone, let me labor, let me stay in my zone. The thing that does help me when I'm laboring is if I get encouragement when I'm in that moment of transition, or when the midwives see that the baby is coming, just vocalizing that, like, "Okay, we can see the head," or not to be too graphic, but you know, we see things progressing. That's very encouraging to me, because I know it's close, and that usually is when it's the most intense and I get this feeling of, I don't think I can do this. But I do remember with Zipporah's birth, I remember getting that feeling and thinking, this is too much, this is intense, I don't think I can do this. And I mentally told myself, You can do this. That means that the baby is close. This means you feeling like this means that the baby is coming. And it was very intense. Like I vividly remember that, very intense mentally for me. And so I remember my mother-in-law arrived, I think between 8 and 8:15, and my husband had told her, wait, because the kids are still sleeping. But literally within 15 minutes, he told her, come in and get the girls, because my laboring sounds had changed, and he had gone through different, our different births with me, but then he had gone through the birth of our second with me and just heard the different sounds of transition. Again, I'm not super vocal when I'm laboring, but the moans and groans and kind of just needing to release some sort of sound change. And so she was waiting in the car, and within 15 minutes of him texting her, wait in the car, don't come yet, he said, okay, come and pick up the girls. He's like, I think she's close. And he was right. But all I remember with the midwives, they were watching again, because with my second, she needed a little help. She got a little stuck. And so with this one, they were watching for the same thing. And Zipporah, disclaimer, was my biggest baby yet. So I start pushing, and I just remember it being so intense. And the midwives told me later that my first push got Zipporah's head to right above her nose. And I remember feeling it. I remember feeling stuck in the ring of fire, like the worst position any mom wants to be stuck in. It would have been nice if I could have just done one push, the whole head comes out, but no, this push only brought her to right about here, and it stayed there until the next contraction, which is great to help with you not tearing, which I think I only had a 1st degree tear with Zipporah. It was nothing that needed stitches. It healed on its own, same like with Selah, and that could have been because there was also scar tissue built up from my other births. And then the midwife said that when the next contraction came, my next push only brought her to about right here. So that wasn't much progress. And so my midwife wanted to be on the safe side, and she said, I could have let you stay in the water, but I wanted you to get out because I didn't want us to run into the same hiccup or run into any serious problems with this baby, or have any hiccups like we did with Selah. So again, I wanted to finish, and it's still my goal to finish and have a full water birth. I'm praying that this will be, I guess, the smoothest, easiest delivery, but I really can't complain about the other ones. God's been so good. I don't think she had to help the baby get out this time, but I do again remember just everything being fast and a blur and intense, because I'm having to get out of the water and get into this position, and the head isn't still like completely out. So I remember that was probably the most intense, probably painful feeling compared to my other birth. And the midwives had also told me that depending on how your birth goes, sometimes there's just this moment of pause after delivering your baby where moms don't automatically just scoop up their babies because they just need a minute. I always thought, who needs a minute after that? Like, I would want to just grab my baby and put them up on me. But, I think there's a lot of things that we say until we go through that exact situation. And I just thought like, that was just so foreign to me. But then I ended up being one of those moms that needed that, and that needed a moment of just pausing because it was so fast and so intense. And so at 9:09 a.m., Zipporah Lee made her entrance. She was 9 pounds, 2 ounces, and definitely looked chunky in those birth photos. And I remember her coming out and her being between my legs, but also kind of behind me. And I remember just being on hands and knees, just kind of like, okay, whew, she's out, and taking a breath and just reflecting. But I almost forgot to check if she was a boy or a girl because we were waiting to find out the gender like we are with baby number 4. So we're super, super excited to find out if we're having 4 little women or if we'll be having our first boy. And I remember looking back and kind of doing a double take, and I was like, oh, it's a girl. And then I remember moving onto the couch and then putting her on me. So I did need that moment, but it was just such a fast and quick process compared to the others that I guess I just didn't know what to expect at certain times. And so the crazy thing was too, the Lord worked this out as well. She was born in the morning. My mother-in-law was amazing. She kept the girls the whole day. We usually have her keep them the whole day, depending on when she gets them, just so we can have time to do all the details after baby is born and just to relax and kind of soak in those first hours and moments with a new baby and prepare for the older ones to come and see the baby and have that time with just like my husband and I and our newborn. But we had planned and prepared coverage for Airbnb cleanings, but since we were still swamped that month, I remember the baby being born, and I think around like 10 or 10:30, Josiah, my husband, left and had 2 cleanings that he did that day. So that was a little bit, the Lord all worked it out, but it was just kind of crazy to see how each time has been so different. And also how the Lord worked it out, because we couldn't get coverage for those cleanings. And if I would have had the baby any later, that obviously, you know, family and the baby coming is first priority, but we could have just been in a real pinch with same day turnovers and people coming in for graduations, you know, also important time in their lives. So I'm just really grateful to the Lord for a safe delivery, a healthy baby, a healthy mom. I recovered really well after that, and she's just been such a blessing to us. So again, she was born on May 16th at 9:09 a.m. and she weighed 9 pounds 2 ounces. And we are just so grateful to have her and to be her parents. And unfortunately, I don't have a keepsake for her like I did for my 2 other children. I'm hoping to get that. But I've just found that that's so precious for me, so I might start giving that to future moms who just want to save all those birth details, because as I'm going back and sharing the birth stories of all of our children, I'm realizing how many details I've forgotten. And it's just, I don't want to forget those details. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and just listening to our birth stories of all 3 of our beautiful girls. We love each and every one of them, and we're so blessed to have them. And I am just excited to share more with you. So please, as always, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any other videos that are coming out. Also, please comment down below if there's anything that you would like to hear more of. I just want to encourage you all, especially other moms that are out there, keep doing a great job. Trust your mom instinct and share your story with other people, because I think everyone can be encouraged by our stories and learn something new. I learn something new every day just from watching little snippets or just listening to what others have to say. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in our next video. Bye for now.